Ethical hacking. Ethical hacking is hacking without any ill intent. Typically, the ethical hacker will have permission from the owner of the system being targeted beforehand. Ethical hacking is used as a preventative measure in cybersecurity by attacking a system to find its weaknesses and strengths, as well as any previous data breaches. For these attacks to be considered ethical, they must follow the local and national cyber laws. Any breaches of these laws would be considered hacking. The ethical hacker must also document all of their steps throughout the entire ethical hacking process. The importance of ethical hacking. Ethical hacking is extremely important as it helps us find any weaknesses in a system and allows us to strengthen those weaknesses before a hacker can find them. You can't be expected to build an impenetrable fortress on the first try, right? An ethical hacker will try everything from cracking passwords to interrupting data channels. An example of needing ethical hacking would be an online business that has customer databases. These databases will hold important customer information from phone numbers, credit card numbers, names, addresses, possibly even social security numbers in rare circumstances. The need to protect this data is high. If you do not hire any ethical hackers to look at your security to make sure there's nothing wrong with it, then there is a huge possibility that you will be attacked and you will lose that information. Losing the customer information will hurt your business incredibly so because one, your reputation would tank because no one would trust your company with their information. And two, any lawsuits from customers because of your failure to protect their data. Because now the hackers have the customer data and they're either stealing their identities, selling the data online, or even using their credit cards to buy stuff. So, in the long run, ethical hacking is important and must be done. Ethical hacking versus hacking. As mentioned before, ethical hacking is hacking without any ill intent. Intentions. Ethical hackers breach targeted systems to find weaknesses so they can prevent attackers in the future, whereas hackers breach targeted systems to steal or ransom data, as well as cause chaos. Legality. Ethical hacking is legal if local and national cyber laws are followed and if permission was given by the owner of the targeted system. The owner of the targeted system must give you written permission for it to actually count. If you get any verbal agreements, this will not help you in any case of law. You need physical proof that they gave you permission in case there's a legal dispute later on. It will protect your butt and your company's butt. Compensation. Ethical hackers are full-time employees who work alone or alongside a cybersecurity company. They are given pay and benefits for their work. Hackers, whether they work alone, with a group, or are sponsored by a state, they will look for any ways to make money using your data or personal information. This can include stealing credit card information, selling classified documents, or even ransomware. Career. Ethical hacking is a high-paying, high-demand job. High demand as in it's in high demand. And if laws are followed, you are protected. Hackers do not have this same protection because they are breaking laws and they also have no professional background. No certifications, nothing. The phases of ethical hacking. There are multiple phases of the ethical hacking process. These phases are reconnaissance, scanning, gaining access, maintaining access, and clearing threats. The reconnaissance phase. As ethical hackers, will try to find any information on the targeted system before the attack. This process can be separated between two methods: active reconnaissance and passive reconnaissance. Active reconnaissance is searching for information about the targeted network by connecting directly to the system itself. This process uses tools such as Nmap, Nessus, and Nikaido. Send varying requests to any computers on the targeted system to gain information about the system itself. This can allow the ethical hackers to find open ports, find exposed hosts, or even discover the OS of the targeted network. However, active reconnaissance is a lot riskier than passive reconnaissance, as there is a greater chance of being detected. Tools used in active reconnaissance are Nmap. Nmap is an open source port scanner and network mapper that makes use of ping sweeps across the targeted network. Nessus is similar to Nmap, however, it's a paid version, and it provides more detailed reports on the targeted network, so a better version. Nikaido is a command line scanner that searches web servers for any vulnerabilities. Passive reconnaissance is the stealthier approach. This is when ethical hackers search for information about the targeted network without connecting to the targeted network itself. Typically, ethical hackers will gather what information they can from any publicly available information on the targeted system, people associated with the targeted system, or any other important information. This can be done via social engineering or even dumpster diving, which is considered offline reconnaissance. Other methods include using online tools such as Shodan and Netcraft. Passive tools. Netcraft is a search tool used to find any information related to the targeted network, from domain names to the owner of the network. Shodan is an extremely popular tool, and it will find any devices connected to the internet on the targeted network. It will find anything about these devices, from any open ports to any other exploitable vulnerabilities. Another tool that I didn't mention before is Google. You can just use a custom Google search to find information. Scanning phase. Once reconnaissance has been completed, the scanning phase begins. During this phase, the testers will create an overview of the targeted network, which includes the designated IP address and any active devices on the network. There are 3 different scans that can be used during this phase: port scans, vulnerability scans, and network mapping. Port scanning is similar to active reconnaissance in that it scans the targeted network for any open ports, active devices, and active applications on the network. Vulnerability scanning is mostly automated, and it searches for the active devices for any vulnerabilities that can be exploited. Network mapping. Network mapping helps ethical hackers create a more detailed diagram of the targeted network by finding and documenting any entities connected to the network. Network mapping will help find any routers, firewalls, servers, or computers on the targeted network. Gaining access phase. Gaining access to the targeted system is the most important step for ethical hackers. This phase is when they do the actual hacking. By using all of the information gained by the 2 previous phases, the ethical hacker will launch an all-out attack on the targeted system to gain administrative access on the network. The ethical hacker will do this over the network, through an application, or even through a device physically connected to the network. This process will use many tools and techniques, which can include phishing attacks, vulnerability exploitation, injection attacks, password cracking, and much more. Maintaining access phase. Once the ethical hacker has access to the system, they can perform even larger attacks, such as DDoS, corrupting the entire network, or even planting viruses. Now that the ethical hacker is done with their attack, they need to be able to easily gain access to the network again. This is done via a backdoor, and without one, they might have to repeat the entire attack again in the future if they wish to gain access, or if they lose access during the attack itself. Ethical hackers can create a backdoor on the targeted system using tools such as rootkits or Trojans. Clearing traps phase. The final phase of the ethical hacking process. The ethical hacker will use this time to remove any evidence of their presence or that there was even an attack to begin with. This can be done by clearing and or corrupting logs, altering registry values, removing any scripts and or folders used or created during the attack, and any other traces of the attacker on the targeted system. Any breadcrumbs or evidence left behind could lead to the attacker being discovered. This is the worst case scenario. You do not want this to happen. Attack completion. The attack has been completed. The backdoors have been created, if necessary, and all evidence has been deleted. The ethical hacker will then create a report based on their attack and documentation of the attack. It is important that the ethical hacker documents everything they do to avoid any legal problems down the road, and to also create an accurate report for the owner of the targeted system. The ethical hacker will recommend to the owner of the targeted system on what steps they should take to better protect their network. Conclusion. Ethical hacking is a long and tedious process. It takes a lot of knowledge of computer systems and system penetration to perform the task well. Professionals in this field need to have extensive training and knowledge in this field, as well as certification, as sensitive information will need to be handled. And in terms of hiring, most companies will only hire you with certifications because of this reason: sensitive information. They must also always stay up to date on the latest information and techniques in the field, as the field is changing every week. Thank you for watching.